Peer review is a required process for firms that do audits, reviews, compilations for their clients. It's been a required process since the early 90s. And this process that takes place allows a peer reviewer to provide an accounting firm it is peer reviewing with feedback as to what type of job the accounting firm is doing when they're performing audits, reviews, and compilations. Peer review came about in the early 90s, and its goal was to improve the accounting and auditing practices of accounting firms. I think in the 90s, that was probably an achievable goal, meaning that most of the accounting firms that were peer reviewed looked at the results that they were receiving in a very, very positive way. Because remember, the peer review process was never designed to be punitive. It was always designed to be helpful. And what has happened, though, in recent years is that this process has almost become a compliance process, almost a check-the-box process, so to speak, where if a firm fills out a practice aid correctly, if it hits the right box correctly, it gets a good peer review. If it misses a box, it gets a bad peer review. And over the recent 10, 12 years, firms have not been quite as supportive of the peer review process. And they look at it as time-consuming without generating significant benefits for the firm itself. The AICPA, in the last couple of years, has proposed a practice monitoring process that would replace, for the most part, peer review and would identify experts in the areas of the work being done by the firms, and they would provide practice monitoring to the accounting firm in a way that hopefully will provide recommendations that will allow the firms to improve their performance in their accounting and auditing practice over time. It might be very much like what you see today with the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board, which does practice monitoring for accounting firms who audit public clients. And their recommendations tend to be a little bit more on point as to where firms might need to identify certain improvements. For example, the Public Company Accounting Oversight Board has made a point to indicate that partners need to be more involved in the overall planning of engagements in order for the results of the engagements to be able to achieve the objectives that were established by the audit. So I think in summary, the goal of peer review was to be a practice improvement process, which over the years has tended to not be that significant, became more of a checklist approach. And I think the AICPA is taking some steps to try to improve that overall process.